Hello everyone. I'd like to show you my tiled integration into my game engine. I integrated tiled so that I could rapidly increase development time for games using my engine. So if we look in our resources folder at the moment, it's empty, and if we were to run our game, it would close automatically. So first thing we can do is in tiled we make a new project. If we go to new map, we make sure we have our tile size at 100 pixels for our scene units, and we'll make it infinite. If we press OK, we can zoom out, and now we have a new map. Maps are our scenes, so let's save it under maps, and we'll call it level 1. And then we can get started. Let's go ahead and delete this tile layer, and we'll create a new object layer instead. And we'll create a new tile set, and objects are collections of images, and we'll just call them objects. And we'll save it under objects. Now if we go into our resources folder, grab some images, and let's just drag them in. Now we can think of these objects as our prefabs like in Unity. So if we save, we can go ahead and mess around with them. They have properties, and then we can give them custom properties that act like our components. So let's choose this blue square. Let's add some properties. Let's first give it a rigid body. So let's call it property 1. And we want a type of rigid body. And let's make it static, so body type is static. And then we can add a sprite renderer. This will be our second component. So for type, let's do sprite renderer. And our sprite is box 1. Now we can take these components and copy them, and we can stick them on other objects, and then make some adjustments. So let's make these balls dynamic, so we'll get rid of that static call. And let's change the sprite to circle. Press OK. And now, if we select our object stamping tool, we can go ahead and start to add some objects. And then if we save and export, we'll export it into our scenes folder. Make sure it's a JSON map file, and we'll call it level1.scene, because that's the name of our first scene in our game config. If we run our game, we've got some basic actors on a map. We can go ahead and mess around with it. We can add custom properties to this specific game object that won't go on any other prefabs of its type. So let's go ahead and give it type of cam follow. That way our camera follows this actor. And let's give it another type. And this type will be movement controls for the player. We save and export. Hit play. And now if we move around, we're pretty fast. So we can mess around with custom properties. You can see that movement has a speed and jump force. Let's set our speed to something slower. Let's do 5. And let's set our jump force higher since we're lowering our speed. We'll do 250. Press OK. Save and export with Control S and Control E. And now we're moving around and we're jumping. 5 might be a little too low, but we get the point. Now we can really quickly, let's get rid of a couple of these blocks because of colliders, and let's just make this block longer. And then let's duplicate it. Move this one right here. And then let's rotate this one and rotate this one like so. And then if we just grab them, duplicate them with Control D. We can create a big mess and see what it looks like. Save, export, hit play. Cool. Now, maybe we want to add some more balls into the mix, so let's go ahead and add a ton more. Let's go into our objects and grab the properties, copy, add them to this bigger ball, paste. We'll just change it from circle to big circle. Save. Let's throw some of these big circles in as well. And create a big mess. And maybe we want to see this mess better, so let's grab our player. And let's change the camera, the zoom factor. Let's try a quarter of that. Save, export, hit play. And now we've created a little game of marbles. We can add some backgrounds, so if we go ahead and add a new object layer, let's call it background. Let's put it underneath this object layer, and then if we go back into our images, we can grab this sky and throw it in. Go ahead and save. Let's make it a trigger. And make sure it doesn't have a collider. You can see we are greatly speeding up our development time compared to if we were simply messing around in JSON files. It would take forever. Let's just throw these in. Ugly enough that it has some personality of its own. And let's grab our ball and let's add a final property, and that will be type play audio. This way we've got some background music going on. Control S, Control E, run it. And we've created a quick little marble game. Now adding all of these actors and trying to mess with their properties in a JSON file would look atrocious. As we can see, we have a brand new way of parsing, and our JSON files have been modified slightly, but we shouldn't need to mess with them ourselves. We should only need to mess with them using tiled. So that concludes that. There are some further bug fixes I'd like to do in the coming weeks, but I think this is a good point for releasing the integration.